If your Casiotone keyboard features a tuning control, tune A to this pitch. Your favorite music, memorable songs, relaxing tunes, and beautiful melodies. Being able to play the music you like is truly a joy. But you have to have some special talent in order to play musical instruments. Sound familiar? Maybe you too have felt this way about music. With a Casiotone, it's easy to play music. Using Casio's innovative Casio chord function, virtually anyone can play full chord accompaniment with ease. Hello. Welcome to your own private music school. I'll be your teacher. With a Casiotone keyboard, all you have to do is learn the very basics of music in order to play any melody with ease using a wide variety of instrument sounds. Just play along with me throughout this lesson and we'll enjoy music together. Step 1. The ABCs of music. First of all, what's the most important thing in musical performance? Reading the notes. You may think that sounds difficult, but it's actually quite simple. In fact, it's as easy as ABC. And while you have 26 different letters to learn in reading the alphabet, there are only 7 to learn in reading music. Let's begin by learning how to read the notes and find out where they're located on the keyboard. Have you got your Casiotone handy? Okay, let's begin. Turn your Casiotone on. We won't be needing accompaniment at this stage, so leave the Casio chord function off. When the power is turned on, the piano tone is selected automatically. Sounds like an authentic piano, doesn't it? The first note to remember is C. This is where C is located on printed sheet music. This particular C note is located near the middle of the piano keyboard and is sometimes called middle C. The note to the right of C is D. Next is E, F, G, then A, B, and finally C again, an octave higher than the C we started with. Next, let's go back to middle C and work down the keyboard. Again, we start with middle C. Next is B, A, then G, F, E, D, and finally C again, this time an octave lower than middle C. Well, now you know the position of notes, both on sheet music and on your Casiotone keyboard. First, some of the basics. Let's take a look at the sheet music once again. Notice the mark at the far left-hand side of the upper staff. This is known as the treble clef. It is used to identify the staff when writing notes from the middle range to the upper range of the keyboard. In the lower staff, you'll find the bass clef mark. This is used to identify the staff when writing notes in the bass range of the keyboard. Naturally, instead of using just one finger, when playing a keyboard, it makes more sense to use all 10. To make our lesson easier to understand, we'll number both the thumb and the fingers of both hands. The thumb is 1. The pointing finger, 2. The middle finger, 3. The ring finger, 4. And the little finger is 5. The same numbers are used for both hands. Got it? Great. Now, let's begin practicing our first melody. Step 2. Ode to Joy. This is a famous melody from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, known as Ode to Joy. At this stage, let's begin learning the melody with the right hand. Hold your hands in a natural position, as if you had an egg placed in your palm. Place finger 1, your right thumb, over the middle C key. Next, place finger 2, 3, 4, and 5 over the D, E, F, and G keys, respectively. With your fingers in this position, you can play the entire melody. Let's try to play the first half of the melody while reading the sheet music. Remember to look carefully at the sheet music as you play. It's easy, isn't it? Okay, let's continue. Did you notice that the black notes were all the same length? Only the last note was a little bit longer, wasn't it? We'll talk more about note length in just a bit. At this point, stop the video and practice. Once you've mastered this part of the melody, you can start the video again. First, some of the basics. Now let's talk a bit more about note length. This note is called a quarter note. Right next to the treble clef, you'll notice 2 fours separated by a line. This indicates that the song is written in 4/4 time, which means that each quarter note is counted as a single beat, and there are 4 beats in each section of music. You can see that groups of 4 quarter notes are separated by lines. These dividing lines are known as measure lines. And each section which is created by the measure lines is called a measure. In other words, in 4/4 time, 4 quarter notes equal a single measure. The last note in this piece is a half note. This means that you should play it twice as long as a quarter note. So in this case, 2 quarter notes and 1 half note make up a full measure. Okay, let's continue practicing. The first 4 measures went like this. Now listen to the last 4 measures. The first part is all the same, only the last part is a little bit different. I'll play it one more time, so try practicing the ending once again. At this point, let's stop the video and practice. Well, how did you do? Were you able to play this famous melody? Great! Now, I'll play the accompaniment and you play along playing only the melody. The music will appear 4 measures at a time. Are you ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3, and... Well, how did it sound? The melody really stands out when played over the accompaniment part, doesn't it? In the next part of the video, you'll learn how to add the rhythm and accompaniment track, all by yourself. In no time at all, you'll learn the true joy of musical performance. Step 3. Theme from a Mozart sonata. In this part of our lesson, we'll learn to play a quaint melody by Mozart, using the Casio chord function to add the accompaniment. First, listen while I play. First, some of the basics. This piece is written in 3/4 time. In other words, there are only 3 quarter notes in each measure. Look at this quarter note. Notice something different? It's got a dot to the right of it, doesn't it? This is known as a dotted quarter note. The dot means that you hold a note for 1½ times its original value. So the dotted quarter note is worth 1½ beats in this case. Now look at this note. It looks like a quarter note with a tail on it. This is known as an 1/8 note, and it's worth exactly half the value of a quarter note, or half a beat in this case. When 2 or more 1/8 notes come together, they are written like this, tied together by a horizontal line. A half note which features a dot is called a dotted half note. This dotted half note is worth 2 beats plus an extra beat for the dot, for a total of 3 beats. Okay, now let's practice the melody part in the first 4 measures. This song will probably sound best with an organ tone, so select the jazz organ tone on your Casiotone keyboard. All right, remember to look very carefully at the music. If you find it difficult, be sure to study the music more carefully until you've mastered it. Stop the video at this point and practice until you've mastered the first 4 measures. Since you've mastered the first 4 measures, let's go on to the next 4. Watch as I play. Stop the video at this point and practice again. How did you do? Now, let's go back to the beginning and play the entire song. Play along with me. If you have any problems playing this, rewind the video and review this section, and practice until you can master all 8 measures of the first section. What's that? You don't have any problems with the first 8 measures? Okay, then we're ready to learn the next 8 measures. The first part is just like the first 4 measures, isn't it? Let's try the last 4 measures. Be sure to read the music notation very carefully. At this point, let's stop the video and practice. Now that you've mastered it, play the last 4 measures of this tune along with me. Were you able to follow along? Great. Now, I'll start the rhythm and we'll play the entire piece. You play along playing the melody. Are you ready? I'm impressed. You're such a good student. Okay, that's enough practice on the melody. Let's begin practicing the Casio chord accompaniment. But before we do that, take another look at the sheet music. there are letters written above the notes. Do you see them? C and G. These letters indicate the chords that you'll be using in the accompaniment. For example, C. Or G. Normally, you would play these chords with your left hand as accompaniment to the right hand melody. Does that sound difficult? Don't worry, it's easy. With a Casiotone, it's very easy to add full chord accompaniment because the accompaniment fits in perfect sync with the rhythm, totally automatically. Let's learn how this works. Turn the Casio chord function on. Notice that there are letters written above the keyboard at the left end of the keyboard. These keys are used in playing the Casio chord accompaniment. Let's try pressing the C key. There are two in the Casio chord accompaniment keyboard. Either one will do. Surprised? It's amazing, isn't it? You only have to press a single key to get a full chord. Next, press the G key. This is how the Casio chord function works. By just pressing the lower keyboard keys, according to the letters marked on your sheet music, you can add full accompaniment to your melodies. Now, I'll play the Mozart piece once again. I'll play it all the way through, adding the Casio chord accompaniment. So watch carefully. How is that? It's really starting to sound good, isn't it? Okay, now it's your turn. This time, I'll play the melody and you play the accompaniment while reading the music. All you have to do is press the corresponding Casio chord key in sync with the note written below it in the music. Now, try rewinding the tape and play both the melody and the Casio chord accompaniment along with me. You may have to try a few times before you master it, but don't give up. And one more point. The C chord we just learned can also be played an octave higher on the accompaniment keyboard. You can play it in either position. How did you do? Were you able to play both parts together? Okay, as a finishing touch, let's add the rhythm now. Press the Casiotone Waltz Rhythm Selector. And then, press the Start button. This tempo is a bit too fast, isn't it? Let's slow it down using the tempo control. Press the Tempo Down button 5 times. That sounds just about right, doesn't it? Okay, press the Stop button to temporarily stop the rhythm. Next, press the Synchro Fill-In key. The rhythm is now in a standby mode. By using this function, the rhythm track will start automatically as soon as you play your first accompaniment chord. The auto rhythm can be stopped by pressing the stop key. All right, let's add auto rhythm to the melody and Casio chord accompaniment to complete our musical piece. And here's another important point to remember. If you press the intro ending key, immediately after playing the last chord of the accompaniment, an authentic sounding ending pattern will finish off the rhythm track entirely automatically. Okay, are you ready? I'll play the piece first, and then you play it after me. Stop the tape at this point and practice until you have mastered the full performance. Step 4, oral lead. You've really got the idea now. Let's continue to develop your skills by learning another song. First, I'll play it for you. This song is called Oralee, although you may know it as a different title. It was a big hit by Elvis Presley. This is the next song that we'll be practicing together. Let's begin by learning the melody, and for this song we'll select the pipe organ tone. This melody is played an octave higher than the first two we learned. The range of the keys you'll have to cover is wider too, so be sure and read the music carefully. We'll start with the first 4 measures. The last note is a whole note. This is held for a full measure, or for 4 beats in this case. Okay, let's practice. Stop the tape at this point and practice the first 4 measures. The next 4 measures are exactly like the first 4, so you've already learned half the song. Now, I'll play the Casio chord accompaniment, and you play along, playing just the melody of the first half of the song. That was beautiful. Now, let's take a look at the second half of the song. Stop the tape at this point and practice the next form measures. Simple, wasn't it? But the fingering required in the last four measures is a little bit difficult, so you'll have to watch your fingers carefully. Stop the tape here and practice the last four measures. Now that you've mastered the second half of the song, I'll play the Casio chord accompaniment and you play along playing just the melody of the second half of the song. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, and... Well, how did it sound? At this point, let's go back to the beginning of the song. I'll play the accompaniment and you play the melody for the entire song. Are you ready? That should take care of the melody. Now, let's begin practicing the chords. The Casio chord function should still be turned on. If it isn't, turn it on now. Look carefully at the score. You'll notice that this piece features some new chords. First of all, D. Just press the Casio chord D key and a D chord is produced. And F. Next, you'll notice an F with a small m next to it. The small m stands for minor, indicating that this is an F minor chord. With the Casio chord system, when any minor chord appears in the score, you press the key indicated, F in this case, and the key to its right at the same time, like this. The minor chord has a bit of a sad, lonely sound, doesn't it? Now, look at the next chord symbol. It's an A followed by a 7. And there's a G with a 7 too. These are seventh chords, A7 and G7. To play seventh chords with the Casio chord system, you press the key indicated and the two keys to its right at the same time. To play an A7 chord, you use 3 fingers like this. And here's G7. So don't forget, to play minor chords, you use 2 fingers, and to play seventh chords, you use 3 fingers. Okay, now I'll play the melody and rhythm, and you try and play along, playing the Casio chord accompaniment. Once you've mastered the chords, rewind the tape and try playing both the melody and the accompaniment together. Are you ready?
1, 2, 3, and.
As before, the C and D chords we just learned can also be played an octave higher on the accompaniment keyboard. You can play them in either position. Now that you've mastered both the melody and the accompaniment, we're ready to add the finishing touch, rhythm. For this piece, select the Slow Rock 1 auto rhythm pattern. Next, press the tempo down key 8 times to adjust the rhythm to the proper tempo. Then, press the synchro key and we're ready to start. I'll play the piece first, so watch carefully. After I've played it, then you can play it and practice until you master it. Okay, that finishes our practice for this piece. And now, here's some advice that I'm sure you'll want to remember. Your Casiotone features a rhythm fill-in function that can be used to add realistic percussion fill-in patterns during the middle of your performance. They can be especially useful at places where natural transitions occur in the song. For example, when ending a verse and returning to a chorus. You can add variety to the song that we just learned by pressing the fill-in key immediately after pressing the C key in the 8th measure. This marks the end of our lesson in Volume 1 of this video presentation. In conclusion, my friends will perform the 3 songs we just learned together for your enjoyment.
From simple melodies to full symphonic performances, the joys of playing music are the same on any scale. And now, you've taken the first step in becoming an accomplished musician. In the second volume of this video presentation, you'll learn even more songs and build on your basic music skills to expand your world of musical enjoyment. Add even more fun to your Casiotone home concerts with other exciting Casio musical instruments. Wail away on the DH200 digital horn with 6 preset tones and a built-in speaker. Or how about the DG1 digital guitar with 12 preset tones that produces the tunes you play in a variety of instruments, from trumpet to organ. If your Casiotone keyboard features a tuning control, tune A to this pitch. In Volume 1 of this video lesson, we learned the basics of music and 3 simple keyboard pieces. In Volume 2, we'll take your musical skills a step further.
Hi! You made good progress in the first half of our lesson, learning how to combine melodies, Casio chord accompaniment and rhythm to make beautiful music. In this half of our lesson, we'll challenge some even more difficult pieces, giving you more and more confidence in your musical abilities.
Step 5. Cielito lindo.
to is called Cielito Lindo. It's the next piece we're going to learn to play. It's a little bit longer than those we've learned up to now, but an experienced player like you won't have any difficulty in remembering it. The chords and the melody are very simple to follow. Let's begin by practicing the melody, but before we do that, there are a few points I'd like to mention.
First, some of the basics. Look at the score for this piece. You'll notice that there are bowed lines which cross the measure lines, connecting some notes. These lines are called ties. When two notes are connected with a tie, you play them as if they were one note. In other words, a single note is sustained for the combined length of the notes connected by the tie. This symbol is known as a quarter rest. It indicates that you should rest, or not play any note, for a single beat.
Okay, now let's begin practicing the melody. Select the vibraphone tone on your keyboard. Ready? We'll start with the first 8 measures. In the last 3 measures, you'll notice that you don't have enough fingers to reach the F and D keys. So you'll have to cross finger 3 over the top of finger 1, like this. Not too difficult, is it? All right, go ahead and practice the first part of this melody.
Stop the video at this point and practice until you've mastered the first 8 measures.
Now let's go on to the next 8 measures.
Stop the video at this point and practice until you've mastered the next 8 measures.
By now, you should have mastered the first 16 measures of this piece. Let's try playing them together. Are you ready?
1, 2, and...
Practice this part as many times as possible. Once you've truly mastered it, you can proceed with the rest of this lesson. Next, we'll learn the second 16 measures.
First, some of the basics. This is the score for the last 16 measures we just practiced. Notice that there are symbols at the beginning and end of this section of the score. These are called repeats. They indicate that you should repeat the passage between the marks one time. In this piece, the marks indicate that you should repeat this section after you reach the end of the piece.
Easy enough, isn't it? Fine. Now let's play the melody for this section once again, this time inserting the repeats. I'll play the Casio chord accompaniment, and you play the melody. Are you ready?
1, 2, and...
How did you do? Were you able to play the melody? Great. Now let's learn the chords. There are 3 chords in this melody: C, F, and G7. You already know all 3 of these chords, so I'll play the melody in rhythm. You add the Casio chord accompaniment. Are you ready?
1, 2, and... Stop the video at this point and practice until you've mastered the Casio chord accompaniment.
Now that you've mastered the chords, let's add the finishing touch, the rhythm.
Set the Casiotone waltz rhythm.
The tempo should be okay as it is, so press the synchro fill-in key and we'll be ready to go. Oh, and don't forget to press the intro ending key right after you've played the last C chord. This adds a smooth, professional touch to the end of your piece. I'll play the whole piece through once, so listen carefully. After I've finished, then you can challenge the full piece, all by yourself.
Jamaica Farewell.
The piece you just heard is a Latin American piece called Jamaica Farewell. It has a nice tropical feel, don't you think?
First, some of the basics. Here's the score for Jamaica Farewell. Notice that there's a symbol that looks something like a small B next to the clef sign. This is called a flat. You can see that in this score, the flat is positioned over the third staff line in the treble clef, or the B note. This means that you play the black key just to the left of B on the keyboard. Sometimes a flat mark appears next to only a single note, but when it appears like this, at the beginning of the piece, you should play B flat each time a B appears in the music, no matter what octave it's in. And although they don't appear in this score, there are sharp and natural symbols, which are used like the flat symbol. The sharp is the exact opposite of the flat, so when a sharp symbol appears, you play the key which is directly to the right of the note marked in the music. Sharp symbols, too, appear sometimes next to only a single note, and sometimes they appear at the beginning of the piece. For example, if the sharp symbol appears on the F line at the beginning of the score, an F sharp should be played each time F appears in the music. The natural symbol is used to change sharps or flats back to their natural note during the middle of a piece.
That's not so difficult, is it? Okay, let's play the melody of this song while making sure to play the B flat. A piano tone will sound best for this song, so select the piano tone on your Casiotone keyboard. Here's the first 4 measures. Study them carefully. Notice that the song begins with a 1-beat rest, so we'll have to start out counting 1, 2, 3, and 1 before actually beginning to play. Are you ready?
1, 2, 3, and 1.
Notice that your hand position changes in the 3rd measure, so study this carefully to make sure that you're using the correct fingering.
Stop the tape at this point and practice the first 4 measures.
You should have mastered the first 4 measures, so let's go on to the next 4. Measures 5 through 7 are the same as the first 3, only the last measure is a little bit different. Are you ready?
1, 2, 3, and 1. Stop the tape at this point and practice the next 4 measures.
And now for the last half of the melody. We'll start with the first 4 measures of the second half. Ready?
1, 2, 3, and 1. Stop the tape at this point and practice the next 4 measures.
And now you're ready to learn the last 4 measures of this song. Feel the rhythm in the phrases where the same note is repeated.
1, 2, 3, and. Stop the tape here and practice the last 4 measures.
Now, are you ready to see how it sounds with some accompaniment? I'll play the Casio chord accompaniment, and you play along playing the melody.
1, 2, 3, and 1.
Sounds great, doesn't it? Now, it's your turn to learn the Casio chord accompaniment. There are 4 chords in this song. The first chord is F, followed by B flat, then G minor, and C7. You already know F, don't you? B flat is just to the left of B, right here. G minor is a minor chord, so you'll have to play G and the key right next to it, using 2 fingers. C7 is a 7th chord, so you play C and the 2 keys to the right of it, using 3 fingers. Okay, I'll play the melody and rhythm, and you back me up with Casio chord accompaniment. Be sure to watch the score carefully, making sure your timing is correct. Once you've got the chords down, rewind the tape and try putting both the melody and the Casio chord accompaniment together.
Stop the video at this point and practice until you've mastered the melody and the accompaniment.
Congratulations! You've added yet another song to your repertoire. Now, let's finish it off with the auto rhythm track. Select the bossa nova rhythm and push the tempo down key 3 times. Okay, I'll play the piece first. You just listen. When I've finished, it's your turn to perform.
Step 7. Theme from a Beethoven piano sonata.
You've learned 5 different songs already, so you're truly becoming an accomplished Casiotone performer. To conclude our lesson, we'll learn one more song. This one a beautiful classical melody. It's taken from a Beethoven piano sonata. You've probably heard this melody before, haven't you? First of all, I'll play it all the way through, so listen carefully. It's truly a beautiful, emotional piece of music, don't you think? Let's begin learning the melody. We'll start out with the piano tone, and then, at the 8th measure, we'll switch to jazz organ. Notice the change in mood? The melody is quite simple, so I'll play all 18 measures together. Watch carefully.
Stop the video at this point and practice until you've mastered the melody.
That wasn't difficult, was it? Good. Next, we'll work on the chords. In comparison with the songs we already learned, this piece features many chords. You're already familiar with F, C, C7, and G minor chords, so we'll skip them.
To play A minor, you play both the A key and the key to its right, like this.
D minor is like this. B flat minor is like this. And D7 like this.
Next is G minor 7. To play a minor 7th chord, you must play the tonic, G in this case, and the 3 keys to its right, using 4 fingers, like this.
A minor seventh is played like this. Make sure you hold all 4 fingers down. If even one finger slips, the chord structure will change, and the resulting chord won't match your melody. Okay, let's practice the chords. Fine. Next, let's add the rhythm. Select Slow Rock 2 on your keyboard. The tempo's probably a little bit too fast, so press the tempo down key 10 times. At the beginning of the last measure, be sure to press the intro ending key to add a smooth ending to the rhythm track. Okay, I'll play this song all the way through, so you practice until you've mastered this one too. Well, this brings us to the end of our video lesson. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. You've really come a long way, but don't stop here. Challenge as many new pieces as possible, and your skills will continue to improve. Remember, practice makes perfect. Now you too have learned the joys of musical performance. Modern songs, classical songs. You can play any type of music you like. You'll enjoy all your favorite music even more when you learn to play it yourself on a Casiotone keyboard.
Add even more fun to your Casiotone home concerts with other exciting Casio musical instruments. Wail away on the DH200 digital horn with 6 preset tones and a built-in speaker. Or how about the DG1 digital guitar with 12 preset tones that produces the tunes you play in a variety of instruments, from trumpet to organ.